It's really happy to be here. This is the topic Kaisa requested me to talk about, but because it's pretty late and I know that you are all very tired after the long day, so I have changed the scale. So I'm only talking about the Gulf of Finland, so it doesn't take so long time as to cover the whole Baltic Sea. So the whole NordStream thing is that the company NordStream is building a natural gas pipeline through the Baltic Sea, which is linking then Russian gas fields to the Central Europe. I'm talking briefly about the NordStream gas line project in general, then these environmental concerns which were before the start of the construction, and then the environmental impact assessment and the whole procedure involved in that process, as well as the permitting process, construction itself, and then also the first results of the environmental monitoring about the impacts of this pipeline construction. So this project, or this construction project, is a most extensive single construction in the Baltic Sea. The total length of the ready pipeline is over 1,000 kilometers. There will be 2 parallel pipelines, and the capacity of these pipelines is 55 billion cubic meters gas per year, and the total investment has been calculated to be something like 7.4 billion euros. Compared to other seas, and especially when looking at this network of gas pipelines in the Gulf of Mexico, this is, of course, peanuts. But on the other hand, the sea regions are very different. They are responding to different human actions in different ways, and also that the Baltic Sea is very stressed by other impacts. So this created quite a lot of concerns when the build, so to say, planning started. Right now, this is the construction monitor on the company's webpage, showing every day how the work is proceeding. And we can see now that the first line has been completed already, and the second pipeline is underway and should be ready this year. So 13%, meaning 154 kilometers, had been built already this year. So the main environmental concerns before the construction were that the physical damage that the construction is causing, that it increased turbidity in the water, release nutrients and hazardous substances from the sediments, and it will impact bottom currents. There's also quite a lot of munitions from the Second World War, which has been dumped in the Baltic Sea, and as well as different kind of barrels containing unknown substances, so that there were possibilities to have leakages and then poisoning of food web and whatever. Then the whole munition clearance procedure to blow up these ammunitions, they cause, of course, sediment disturbance and might have impacts on fish, seals, birds, and so on. Then there is also quite a lot of cultural heritage objects like shipwrecks, how this will affect them. Then we are also talking about scientific heritage, because there are long-term or sampling sites with very long-term time series, for example, from benthic animals, and the pipeline goes very close to these sampling sites. Then we have also nature reserves, how the impact will be there, and then of course how it will affect fisheries, maritime transport, and safety in general. So there has been quite a lot of discussions in different countries concerning the safety issues, but in Finland only the, so to say, environmental concerns were considered. So there was a very long permitting process and different kind of environmental impact assessment procedure before the start of the whole project. The pipeline passes the territorial waters as well as EEZ waters of Russia, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Germany. And based on the Convention on Environmental Impact Assessment in a transboundary context called ESPO Convention, it requires that the contracting parties to the convention have to notify and consult each other on all major projects that might have adverse environmental impact across borders. And then also the individual parties to mitigate environmental assessments or have to make individual parties have to integrate environmental assessment into the plans and programs at the earlier stages of the whole construction business. Funny thing is that Russia is not the contracting party to ESPO Convention, but it promised to kind of act according to the convention, and so it has done. So this transboundary construction and transboundary impacts require both national and international permitting processes. So the permission to use the sea area and to construct the pipeline concerns 5 countries. So those countries where the pipeline is passing through either coastal areas or then the more open areas in the EEZ area, meaning Russia, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Germany, but also the other countries. They might be, so to say, affected by these border effects. So consultations with them had to be carried out as well. So this is just that the legal requirements in different countries, they vary based on national legislation. But in Finland there are 2 acts which are kind of making requirements concerning this permitting system. So that there's a Finnish Environmental Impact Assessment Act, and then, well, actually 3 acts. Then the Finnish Act on the EEZ, which is related to the permission to exploit the area, and then the permit for construction of the pipeline as well as munition clearance. This is done based on the Water Act. So, of course, the basic idea, or so to say, why the company have to do this environmental impact assessment, that it has to fulfill all the requirements of the national and, in this case, also international legislation and environmental standards. But it also have to identify, mitigate, and as much as possible avoid potential harmful impacts on the environment and human activities as well as health. Then it also it is supposed to assure that the environmental issues are taken into account in the decision process from the beginning, and also that during this consultation process, best possible planning and environmental friendly constructions and management procedures will be developed, as well as environmental monitoring programs built up and carried out. And also that the public, well, not only authorities, but also public should be informed. And also having this hearing process. So actually the project started already in the last millennium, so that first, of course, these feasibility studies and also kind of financial implications were checked, and the permitting process started in 2006, and finally last year the last, so to say, permissions were given, and now already 1 pipeline is ready. So it's really fast process. Then, of course, first these different actions were so to say, clarified, which might have major environmental impacts. So that those which are marked with this pale, they were not really relevant for the Finnish EEZ because the pipeline is going through so-called deep areas. This is of course not deep compared to the Gulf of Mexico, but anyway, here it is deep, so something like 100 meters. But you can see also that the pipeline, which is marked in red there, is avoiding the EEZ of Estonia, and because there was foreseen more difficulties to get the permission than on the Finnish side. And there were also different alternatives concerning the so that the place where the pipeline could be constructed, so that also different alternatives were compared during this impact assessment and hearing process to avoid especially sensitive areas and to minimize the environmental effect as well as effects for other human use. So the pipeline is not passing through any marine protected areas, but there are quite a lot of them in the close vicinity of the pipeline. There's quite a lot of crossing cables in the Gulf of Finland, which might be affected by the construction. There are quite a lot of potential areas for dumping of munitions in the area, which were considered, and also that the whole pipeline is supported with some kind of rock placements, and there were quite many sites where this rock placements was required, so that they also are affecting the sediment much more than just the pipe itself. So actually the environment impact assessment which was made by NordStream was the biggest or most extensive and most profound ever made in the Baltic Sea area. So it was really a huge impact assessment, and the company has invested over 100 million euros for that. But on the other hand, compared to the total cost, this is not very much, and compared to the expected profit, this is really peanuts. The field and desktop studies which were carried out, they covered more or less all and everything from hydrography to ship traffic routes and fairways. And during the field campaign, more than 1,000 water and sediment samples were taken in about 100 monitoring stations, and quite a lot of fish, marine mammal, bird research was carried out, and definitely quite a lot of geological engineering surveys along the pipeline were done, and so that it means that there's quite a lot of data, and this data has been now given to so-called data and information fund of the company, and it's available also for scientific use from that, so that this is not too bad. So actually, in the Gulf of Finland, they found quite a lot of different kinds of dumped munitions, also huge amount of barrels along the route of the pipeline with unknown contents. And there was quite a lot of cultural heritage as well, different kind of shipwrecks, airplanes, and so on, which all have to be kind of considered. What is their value, and should they be avoided, or what? So there was quite a lot of consultations with authorities, different authorities. A lot of hazardous substances were analyzed in sediments as well as nutrient concentrations and so on.